typically, fibroid removal or a myomectomy requires an incision across the lower abdomen, like a C-section scar. And the hope has always been that we could find a way to do it in a less invasive way. And what's always been difficult about laparoscopy for fibroid removal is that it requires lots of stitches to be placed in the uterus. And stitches are hard to do with laparoscopy. But there's an amazing piece of equipment called the Vinci robot that is used in a number of specialties, including gynecology. And what it is a means of performing laparoscopy as though your hands were at the end of the instruments rather than just the straight instruments that we usually use for laparoscopy. So, like laparoscopy, we make small incisions in the abdomen and put instruments through, but then we attach those instruments to robotic arms. A big machine comes in over the table, attaches to these instruments, and then I break scrub. I'm no longer scrubbed in. I go over to a console in the corner of a room, corner of the operating room, and I look into a 3D video console, and I put little Velcro clips around my fingers, and I begin to move my hands like I was operating, and the instruments inside the patient's body moves like my hands. And so the instruments can work just like my hands and wrists, so that I can pick up a needle and turn it and put the stitches in just like I was using an instrument in my hand. And that's really been revolutionary for laparoscopic myomectomies, a procedure that usually requires a woman to be in the hospital two nights. Now she can go home the same day, and instead of recovering for about 6 weeks, she can recover in more like 2 weeks. The only caveat is that a woman has to have no more than 3 fibroids. It's still very time consuming, and so if she has 5 or 10 fibroids, it's not going to be the right procedure for her. But for some women who have just 1 big fibroid or 2 or 3 fibroids, it can really be a great advancement for her. I started using it about 2 years ago, and the Da Vinci robot is used extensively in certain specialties, most specifically for urology, for prostate cancer. And I could see an application for fibroid treatment, and so I went and learned how to use it and was mentored in doing the operation and started doing it about 2 years ago. It can be used as well for hysterectomy, but we can do laparoscopic hysterectomy without this great big machine. So it really, in terms of a big piece of equipment and technology, I use it just for laparoscopic myomectomy. And I would say it's just used sporadically across the country, that there aren't more than maybe 10 or 20 centers or 10 or 20 gynecologists doing laparoscopic myomectomy with the robot.